think 9 months making this record, and it's very different for anything I've done before, because usually I would have been lyrically driven, but this one has a large part of it has come from jamming in the studio with bass and drums, and so it's a lot more bluesy and rocky and hard hitting than, for instance, what I might be known for. So I'm excited about it.
Thank you, Brian. Good night. But that's you're saying it's different. I mean, even that single Anna, it's very different for you.
Yes, it really is different, and I don't know why that is. I think probably a lot of the stuff I've been listening to in the last, say, 10 years, I've kind of got into Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Black Keys, and a whole lot of blues music and, that type of thing, which the whole electric guitar side of things is something I like to do on the side, but I never really put it on a record, and now I'm doing that, right?
Are you ever afraid that a rougher sound or distorted vocal might turn people away who like the clean sounding Brian? Absolutely.
I think it's any artist has to follow their muse, right? It's the lifeblood.
Yeah.
I've tried being calculating. I've tried doing things like, well, I'll do this bunch of songs and people might like those, and that never works out. You just got to be who you are and follow whatever it is that's inspiring you at that time. And if people don't like it, well, unfortunately, that's just the way it rolls.
Yeah.
You make the next record.
Yeah, exactly. Just try and bring them along with you, but if they don't, well,
you got to stay fresh, and you got to be inspired. And I've gone down routes like you mentioned earlier on, Fred again. Have you ever seen his Tiny Desk concert? Like, people of Belfast, go and check out Fred Again Tiny Desk concert on NPR. Have you seen NPR?
I haven't seen. I only know Fred Again from the kids. They rave and
do you know what
stuff.
NPR Tiny Desk is?
No, haven't a clue.
Okay, welcome to 2026. So NPR is National Public Radio in America,
right?
And so they have on YouTube concerts by basically Taylor Swift. It's always acoustic. People come in, and Fred Again, you've got people like Adele and Coldplay and all kinds of people do it, right? But the Fred Again one, and this is the first time I ever heard of him, he starts off on a piano and he's wearing a one Apple headphone in with the cord hanging down, right?
Yeah.
And he stops playing piano and the blinking thing has been looped. You don't even see him hit record.
Yeah.
And next thing he's on a marimba. And next thing he's singing vocals. And when he plays a sample, there's a screen behind him, lights up with the person who's sampling, who's sung the sample.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. So I went down this whole route of starting to do things with samplers and looping around harmoniums and all kinds.
Yeah.
So I find that type of thing really exhilarating and keeps me fresh,
That's class, and it means you can do it yourself on your own.
Well, do it yourself, I mean, I was on tour there in England for 14 days. So I did 14 dates, 14 gigs in 14 days. And I spent a lot of time, if I wasn't traveling, I spent a lot of time in the bed, because I was driving myself most of those. And some of them I'm doing the PA, I'm doing the merch.
No.
Yes. And that whole kind of it's a one-man band, but it's also a one-man business.
Yeah.
You're selling your own merch. It's the record you made yourself, and you pressed the CD and you registered the whole thing with PRS and all that kind of thing. And then you're out there in front of the people and you play your tunes and then you drive to the next place. And that was enough to make it worth my while,
But that's hard work, Brian.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I've done things like I worked for a builder once, which involved being up to my elbows clearing toilets of what would be in a toilet. Now that's hard work. I worked in the shipyard putting insulation on, in the middle of the winter when your feet went numb and you were breathing in fiberglass. That's hard work. Driving to a bar, setting up your gear, playing your tunes and selling some CDs. No, that's the dream, man. That's the dream.
Point taken. Okay. Listen, you're going to sing us a song?
I will, absolutely. I'm kind of torn what to do because the wise business thing to do is to play the next single, which is released tomorrow. It's called Put Her Mind at Ease. But this song here, I was actually told, don't put that on. It was on Belfast Troubadour. And I was told, don't play that song. Don't put it on the CD. Don't ever write a song like that again. And of course, I actually went against that. And this song really seems to touch people. It's the true story of my mother and, to a degree, her life and our life growing up in Belfast. So this is called Mary Eccles.
Yeah.
Well, my name's Mary Eccles. I work 3 jobs a day. I'm married to a drunkard. I guess that's the price I pay. I sold my youth and I sold my health, 'cause my kids need to eat. That was life in Belfast in 1973. Well, I fell in love with Jimmy, but he came from Bryson Street. His father and my father both decided they should meet. For an orange girl and a papish boy was a love not meant to be. That was life in Belfast in 1953. I lie awake at night sometimes and wonder what it means. I've lived my life for my 2 boys and surrendered all my dreams. I don't know what I'm here for or the purpose I'm alive. I guess God had his reasons back in 1935. Billy came from East Spread Street on the right side of the line. He was a Protestant and an atheist and a communist in his mind. But at least he wasn't Catholic, was what my father said. So he terrorized his children with the demons in his head. I lie awake at night sometimes and wonder what it means. I've lived my life for my 2 boys and surrendered all my dreams. I don't know what I'm here for or the purpose I'm alive. I guess God had his reasons back in 1935. Well, my name's Mary Eccles, and I'm 70 years old. I hope that Jesus loves me, and he will save my soul. I paid my bills and I made my will and I set some more aside. 'Cause this cancer's got a hold on me and I won't survive. Yes, it's true that pain and struggle's been the story of my life. My name is Mary Eccles and I died 2005.
Whoa. I did hear that on social media. I saw you performing it, and it stopped me in my tracks then, but to hear it live. It's a very brave song to do, Brian.
In what way? Why do you think
I don't know. The topic, it's very personal, it's very revealing, it's very frank, and you're dealing with the mad situation here that everybody kind of tries to say, it's okay, you know?
But it's also the true story. And when my mom... I mean, look, don't get me wrong about my dad. Sometimes I feel sorry for my auntie because she has to listen to me singing all these songs about her brother that make him sound like the devil. When I was a child, my dad introduced me to Hank Williams, Chris Christopherson, John Prine. He played me all that music, right? So I owe an awful lot to my father, right? And I was never really able to write a song about my mom because I wasn't angry with her, you know? And then, have you heard of an artist called Mary Gaucher?
Yes.
Out of Nashville. And I was talking to her about songwriting, and she said, you don't always have to write a song as if you're reporting on it. You can sometimes take on the character of the person.
Yeah.
And that was what unlocked this for me. While she was actually talking about that, I wrote the lyric of this song. And it's you know, when you're saying it's a brave song to write, maybe because it makes some people feel uncomfortable, but from the perspective of just telling the narrative, telling the story, that's the easy part because your subject matter's all been laid out for you. And when my mom and dad were divorced when I was probably in the late teens or so, Jimmy, who she fell in love with, a guy called Jimmy Fagan, he came on the TV and was interviewed. And my mom seen him for the first time since she was a kid, and she burst into tears because that was the life she could have lived, right? And
whoa, this is classic one that got away kind of thing.
Yeah, and him being Catholic and her being Protestant, and that whole kind of tragedy that's been played out. And I played a gig in England on my tour there in a place called Eccles. On Eccles Moorbarta.
Yes.
We were forced to sing that at school. I was, which they were amazed to hear. And there's this girl there, Lara Martin, who was a child in 1973 when loyalists, paramilitaries came to her father and mother's door. Her father came out. The guy was holding a gun.
Yeah.
And her dad was holding her.
Yeah.
And he was married to. I think he was Protestant and his wife was Catholic. And they said, get out, this is your friendly warning.
Yeah.
And they moved to England next day. And I'm playing in her living room that song while her dad is sitting there.
Whoa.
That story of Ireland is now worldwide, of people who ran from this country to try to find religious freedom.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy, but there you go. Now we can talk about it. Hopefully nobody shows up at your house with a woolly face on.
Yeah, exactly. Again, but with that song, were there repercussions from family saying you can't sing about the family, secrets like that? Or
well, I wrote the song. My mom's passed away, obviously, and my dad's gone. But I wrote the song, and I don't know how many songs you write or how often you produce something that you feel vulnerable about.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to say. And I'd written the song, and I sat in my studio and did the demo of it, right? And I mixed it down, and then I sent it to my brother.
Yeah.
And he happened to be sitting with his two daughters and played the song on his phone and texted me and said, you have us all in pieces here.
Yeah.
Because he didn't expect that, right? But do you not think that you have to sing a song like that? Because that's the Irish tragedy. And I don't know how you were raised, but in my family, we would gather in Susan Street, all my aunties, my granda, my granny. They, in their particular culture, they had King Billy crossing the Boyne above the mantelpiece, and Queen in the scullery, and kitchen house where the toilet's outside.
Well, we had the opposite. We had a picture of the Pope and JFK.
Well, there you go. And Elvis.
No, seriously.
So, and everybody's smoking, whether you wanted to or not.
Oh, yes.
And everybody's drinking whiskey. And my mom is singing, the HMS Hood. And there's something about Irish people that we love to, I guess, mourn or something, and I think it's how we process our pain, and so I think songs like that, I think they bring healing, right, in a way, because they give access to the tears. And there's actually a film director called Jim Sheridan, who had My Left Foot and The Field, and I'm connected to a thing called the Midnight Sessions, which started up in lockdown. And Jim's meant to be coming tomorrow night to the gig, actually, flying in from London just for the show.
Yeah.
Which is a massive honour for me, right? But he says he wants to come to Belfast and see where my mom grew up and see those streets. He wants to walk those streets, and I don't know if he'll make a movie about it or what he'll do, but it's amazing to me that a song like that is connecting the whole island with people in the south. They're feeling the same pain, right? And so I think it's a song that it may embarrass some people, but it also is bringing people together.
Yeah, it struck me, and not from the religious point of view, but from the point of view that a lot of women here found themselves in that position where the guy they married is a gambling drunk, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I don't mind saying, because a lot of people who know me know about our house. My dad was a violent alcoholic. We had a nightmare growing up.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't write songs about it. We've dealt with it through humour.
Right.
Our family, we just made a joke of everything, and still now, in retrospect, our armour is. Some of that was funny and surreal, but it was a nightmare.
And Billy Connolly's like that too. I mean, it's come out in later years that he was sexually abused as well by his family. But I mean, that is the awful thing. Did your family stay together then? Did your dad leave?
We did. No, stayed together. I think my mum was schooled in the Catholic Church way. No, you stand by your man kind of thing was always,
Yeah, and my mom my mum had 2 court orders to have my dad removed, and both times he talked around.
Yeah.
And we had a petition from the neighbours saying, get out, which he ignored.
Yeah. Well,
and then
my dad would have been like that too.
Right.
Stuff everybody else.
Or you came home, I came home one day and all my dad's clothes were in the tree. My mum had thrown all his clothes because we had a tree in our front garden.
Yeah.
You know, my dad's answer, cut the tree down. You know.
Yeah, well, but again, I do know that there were loads of women in that predicament, and they were just caught up in this attitude, well, you can't leave your husband, you know, or, you know, they just weren't in a position to.
Well,
or if they did leave, he followed them, you know.
Yeah, and we left several times and went to my auntie's. You know, my mum would grab the Weetabix and us and head out, put us in the car, and we were gone. And then he would talk her back. But the crunch came whenever I was about 16 and I began to stand up to him, you see. Mm-hmm. And then he chinned me one day and knocked me out. My head hit the mantelpiece and we called the police and all. And that was the last straw for my mum. Once he hit me, right, she was like, right, that's it. But my dad sat me down 17th of December 1979, and he had all his stuff piled up in the street, and it was snowing outside, and his friend Freddie Campbell, who was a massive Christopherson fan, the two of them used to drink and listen to all that stuff, and Silver Tongue Devil and Sunday Morning Coming Down, all that stuff. And Freddie Campbell standing outside with all the furniture, including the record player, which he promised he wouldn't take. And my dad spun the chair around, opened the living room door and the front door. You can see out in the street, wind's blowing in, and he says, if you want me to go, I'll go. If you want me to stay, I'll stay. And I said, I just want the fighting to stop. And he said, remember you said that, and stormed out the door.
Whoa.
So he was leaving no matter what happened, but he wanted to put it on me as a 16-year-old.
I was going to say, how bad was that landed on you? Yeah,
well, I mean, that's the sort of stuff I'm still... If somebody calls me into a meeting now, I'm flipping shaking in a corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting blamed in the wrong is something that sets me like crazy. So that type of thing is those kind of childhood traumas I think you spend your whole life trying to deal with.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Listen, I need to take a wee break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, okay? Another track there from Brian Houston, and that's from the new album. Brian, what was that one called?
That's called Please Don't Tell My Mama.
Again, a very dirty kind of sound for you.
Grungy sound, yeah.
You know.
That's even more heavy than the other track, right?
Yeah. Listen, there's loads of people getting in touch about the chat we've had. Not that we wanted to, you know, concentrate on...
Welcome to Johnny here.
I know, it's like therapy.
Self-help hour.
But no, we went through similar in our house. There was no religious aspect, but I'm sure there's loads who, you know, I mean, I grew up with mates whose dads were drinkers or gamblers or whatever. And I remember having discussions, we were teenagers. What's worse, having a dad who's an alcoholic or a gambler? Really? You know? Yeah. And we were all, you know, because I mean... Okay, an alcoholic can drink till they're drunk, come in and wreck the house, fine. And the gambler can destroy the house on a flip of a coin or whatever.
But did you know, when you were growing up, so I grew up in the Branyell, right? And my family weren't religious. My mom's family were Protestant, up to their neck in that whole thing. My dad, communist, totally against that whole thing. So in our house, we had the Dubliners playing, or Frank McAvoy, or Johnny McAvoy, sorry. And I had a book, it was a book my dad had lying around called My Part in Ireland's Struggle by Dan Breen.
Dan Breen, yeah.
So I grew up with this very kind of Irish identity and being told, don't sing those songs on the street, right?
Yeah.
And yet my next door neighbour was Michael Stone, who saved my arm from a fire when I was about 5. Yeah. Right? So I kind of grew up with that, but I looked at people, there was families in our estate, and you know what this is like. They were the kids that everybody thought were a bit underprivileged. Yeah. And you had other kids like who had no food. You could just tell they were so thin and they smelled funny. So you kind of measured your good fortune by the fact that you weren't that guy. You know, at least you had a bed. My brother and I shared a bed, but at least we had a bed. Yeah. Right? And then when Dad left, he took one of the beds, which left me and my brother on the mattress and my mum on the hard part. Right? The three of us split one bed. Yeah. Right? But we still had a roof over our heads. And I used to be very envious of the kids in school that got the free dinners.
Yeah.
I used to think, oh, it must be amazing getting a free dinner every day. And then that happened to me. And it was so humiliating going up because the ticket was a different colour.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it was white and everybody else had pink or something like that, or the other way around. And then you felt crap getting your free dinner, you know, which I never knew that, right? But hey, I ended up getting a job. I ended up becoming a musician, ended up travelling the world. So it's worked out all right for me, you know.
Well, they always say that musicians or creative people generally are really spurred on by adversity. Is it a thing that you agree with? I mean, your kind of experience, has it stood to you when you're trying to get themes for songs?
I don't think for a second, if my mom had married Jimmy, right, he's a different guy. The one thing I had in common with my dad, which took me probably till I was in my 40s to realise, was music.
Yeah.
And we were talking off air there about therapy. And I did about 4.5 years of therapy. And very recently, from 2017 to 2022. And I remember the therapist said to me, do you think that it's possible that because your dad's relationship with you was about Hank Williams and Chris Christopherson and all those people, that in fact you're doing music because it's your way of trying to get your dad to like you, even though he's dead and gone? And that was an amazing revelation to me, because it helped me understand that there was actually a good thing that came from my relationship with my dad. And for years and years, because he left when I was 16, and he would see me, he only lived around the corner. We lived in Ravenswood Park, he lived in Warren Grove, literally a 7-minute walk away. And he would see me walking down the street and he'd cross over to the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't just he left my mom, he left us all, right? And he disowned us. And
that's hard to take at any level, you know?
You know what? I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I was just glad he was gone and we got a night's sleep. At that age, I didn't care. But
Brian, you could have and maybe should have ended up far worse for that, you know?
Well,
for that basically abuse.
Yes, but because he was against the church, going to church felt rebellious.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like stuff you.
Yeah.
And he would always try and talk us out of it and quote Karl Marx and all that. And I'd be like, no, I'm going my own way. And my dad was very articulate, very intelligent, really prided himself on that. But so I think in some respects, I owe my dad a huge debt. But about 2023, so I stopped doing therapy in 22. I took a year off. I'd done it every Friday with a woman in England on Zoom, and I'd never had a breakthrough about my father, and my whole life I'd never cried about it. I'd never been, vulnerable about it, but I could be very, very angry. And I felt like I had three phases in my life, three attitudes. One was largely being numb, one was angry, and one was rage. They were my 3 settings. And if rage kicked in, then I would be inconsolable for days, right? I couldn't deal with it. And then one day I'm sitting in my house and I get this email from a lawyer in England about something which was nothing to do with my circumstances. For some reason, this email sent me into a pit of anxiety. And I'm sitting there in my bedroom. There's nobody else in the house. And because of the therapy, I knew to not try to distract myself from the anxiety, but just to let it take hold of me. And so then I said to God, if you like, the universe, whatever you want to call it, to the spirit, to the creator, whatever you're comfortable with, the ether even, I said, what is this feeling? And the voice came back to me and said, this is how you felt when you were 5 and your dad came home. Which was a massive shock, that I could feel that level of fear as a 5-year-old. And so then I began to, as I was trained to do through the therapy, you begin to say to my dad all the ways in which he let me down and all the ways in which he was a scumbag, and you're encouraged to be as vitriolic and as obscene as you want to be. And so I cursed him high up and low down for about 10 minutes, and I called him all the names under the sun and told him what a loser he was. And then for the first time in my life, I burst into tears, and I must have cried, ugly crying, for 10 or 15 minutes. And when I opened my eyes, the carpet beneath me had changed colour, right? And then I forgave him. And it was life-changing, because it was like suddenly the sky got bigger and the air got fresher and a weight fell off me. And it's been life-changing for me, because now instead of numb anger and rage, it's Yes, it's pain and it's happiness and it's joy and it's fear, but I have got back my palette of emotions. I'm not down to 3 shades anymore.
Yeah.
I've got the full rainbow back.
Well, that's brilliant. Listen, can you squeeze another song in?
Sure.
Do you want to play one?
I will.
Anything? What would you like? What would you want to do?
You know what I'll do? I'll do Jesus again. Sure, why not? We talked all about my dad.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
People might remember this from 31 years ago.
It's not. Whoa.
Every Sunday he gets dressed up. He gets to church by 10:30. Now he cries through the sermon, meant to change his life. He gets converted all over again. Monday's fine, Tuesday's not so good. By Wednesday he's starting to shake up. By Saturday night he's a total wreck who can't even stand up straight. He's getting into Jesus again. He's getting into Jesus again. He promised me this time he's gonna change. He's getting into Jesus again. He makes me promises I know he'll never keep. No matter how hard he tries. Sorry about hitting the microphone there. We find him at the bus stop at the end of my street. Some innocent passers-by, oh, they help me drag him back to my house. Oh, we laid him out upon the floor. He came to, and he promised us to. It ain't ever gonna happen no more. He's getting into Jesus again. He's getting into Jesus again. He promised me this time he's gonna change. He's getting into Jesus again. Now he comes home almost every night. Oh, I hear him slam the door. Me and my brother, we picture him stumbling up the stairs and calling my mother a whore. I listen real hard and I hear the sign. Oh, the sign of her start to cry. My daddy found Jesus for real last night. My mother meant it when she said goodbye. He's getting into Jesus again. He's getting into Jesus again. He promised me this time he's gonna change. He's getting into Jesus again. Oh, he's getting into Jesus again. My daddy's getting into Jesus again. He promised me this time he's gonna change. He's getting into Jesus again.